HOA tried kicking me off my cabin, didn't know I own their marina and parking lot too. The air was thick with the scent of pine and betrayal as I stood on the porch of my cabin, the only place I'd ever called home. My grandfather built this place with his bare hands, each log a testament to his sweat and dreams. I'd spent every summer here, fishing in the lake, my boots crunching on the gravel path. But now, the Karen Flower Homeowners Association, HOA, led by the insufferable Karen Whitaker, was trying to rip it all away. They claimed my cabin violated their community aesthetic. A shack, they called it. A blight on their pristine lakeside utopia. They didn't know I held the trump card. Karen Whitaker, with her perfectly coiffed hair and clipboard clutched like a scepter, marched up my path that crisp October morning. Behind her trailed two HOA board members, Tom and Linda, their faces smug with the certainty of victory. "Mr. Ellis," Karen began, her voice dripping with condescension, "you've ignored our notices for months. This cabin is an eyesore, and we're enforcing its removal. You have 1 week to vacate." I leaned against the porch railing, my heart pounding but my face calm. "You sure about that, Karen? This land's been in my family for 3 generations. You don't get to waltz in and dictate terms." Her eyes narrowed, and Tom piped up, "The HOA has authority over all properties in Karen Flower. Read the bylaws." I almost laughed. They thought they had me cornered, but they didn't know the half of it. The Karen Flower community was a gated enclave of manicured lawns and ostentatious lake houses, built around the marina my grandfather established decades ago. When he passed, he left me not just the cabin but the marina and the adjacent parking lot land the HOA leased from my family without ever checking the fine print. I kept quiet about it, letting them assume their control was absolute. But today their arrogance would cost them. The confrontation escalated at the HOA's emergency meeting that evening, held in their glossy community center. Karen stood at the podium, rallying her followers with talk of property values and standards. I slipped in unnoticed, standing at the back as whispers rippled through the crowd. "He's the one defying us," a woman hissed. I waited, biding my time. Then, during the open forum, I stepped forward. The room fell silent. "Karen," I said, my voice steady, "you want my cabin gone? Fine. But let's talk about the marina and the parking lot." Her smile faltered. "What are you blabbering about?" she snapped. I pulled out the deed, its faded ink irrefutable. "My family owns the marina you all use. The parking lot, too. Been leasing it to the HOA for years. One call to my lawyer, and your boats are landlocked. No more sunset cruises. No more cocktail parties on the docks." The crowd erupted in gasps and murmurs. Karen's face turned crimson, her clipboard trembling. "This is outrageous," she sputtered. "You can't do this." But I could, and she knew it. The HOA's entire lifestyle hinged on my land. I turned their power play into a checkmate. Then came the twist. Linda, the quiet board member, stood up, her hands shaking. "I warned you, Karen," she said, her voice breaking. "I found the lease agreement months ago and told you to back off. You ignored me." The room turned on Karen, their loyalty crumbling. Linda, the unassuming retiree who'd always seemed like Karen's lackey, had been my silent ally, slipping me HOA documents to prepare my defense. Her betrayal of Karen was a dagger, and the crowd's outrage shifted from me to their leader. The next week was chaos. Karen tried to rally support, but the HOA fractured. Residents, furious at her recklessness, demanded her resignation. I could have evicted them all from the marina, but I didn't. Instead, I offered a new lease fair terms, but with one condition: my cabin stayed. They agreed grudgingly. The victory should have felt sweet, but it didn't. The community I'd once loved was now a nest of resentment, neighbors glaring as I walked the lake path. I'd won the battle, but the war left scars. Karen moved away a month later, her reputation in tatters. I sat on my porch, watching the sun dip below the trees, the marina's lights flickering across the water. I kept my home, but at what cost? The community was broken, trust shattered. I wondered if my grandfather would have been proud or ashamed of how I'd wielded his legacy. In the end, I realized power isn't about owning land or winning fights, it's about knowing when to fight and when to let go. I'd held my ground, but the bitterness lingered, a reminder that even justified battles leave wounds. My cabin stood, but the warmth of community was gone, replaced by cold glances and whispered grudges. What would you have done in my place? Was it right to use my leverage, or should I have sought peace over justice? Share your thoughts. Where do you stand on this clash of rights, community, and power?